Welcome back to the special live transmission. Pakistan stands prepared to thwart any Indian misadventure. The regional security environment keeps on deteriorating owing to India's unilateral and illegal and provocative actions and posturing. We've also seen a number of important developments. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif visiting Inter-Services Intelligence Headquarters was given a detailed briefing as to the preparedness of Pakistan's side in case of a conventional threat. We've also seen the United Nations Security Council meeting on the request of Pakistan happening, and the Security Council members underscoring that the root cause of regional instability lies in the unresolved, long-standing Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir dispute. We've also seen India, after unilateral suspension of Indus Water Treaty, has started stopping water, particularly on Chenab River. There are multiple Indian media reports also which suggest that Indians would be halting the flow of river from Kishan Ganga Dam as well. All these important developments are for discussion. Also, there was something that was said by the Congress chief of Indian Congress, Mallikarjun Kharge, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had received intelligence regarding the Pahalgam incident 3 days before, but he did not act and let the tourists be at risk of the attackers. In the studio, we are honored to be joined by Dr. WASI, affairs expert. Dr. WASI, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on this special live transmission. We really appreciate that. Dr. WASI, now we've also seen that the United Nations Security Council meeting happening, and the United Nations Security Council members have, of course, called for dialogue and restraint and de-escalation, but also have underscored that the root cause in the South Asian region of this instability is the unresolved Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir dispute. And they have also urged, emphasized basically the need for the resolution of this particular dispute. What could be particularly done on this particular front when it comes to the implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions, particularly post revocation of Article 370?
Thank you so much for having me to discuss this very important subject. As far as United Nations intervention is concerned, the first statement that was issued after the UNSC non-permanent member session, that was quite welcoming on the part of Pakistan, because it has acknowledged and endorsed what Pakistan says, that Pakistan is not responsible, and if there is some credible evidence, India should go for any probe or any investigation. Second thing that we need to understand is that on India-Pakistan question, under this heading, the issue of Kashmir is a part of the agenda of the United Nations Security Council, and there are multiple resolutions adopted by United Nations Security Council. So in this way, this falls in the ambit and scope of United Nations. And what we need to do, as you have just asked, there are two very important things that we can do. Is number one is that we need to summon the session of the United Nations Security Council permanent members, because number one is that as this issue lies on the agenda. On second, in 1998, United Nations Security Council permanent 5 members, they have jointly issued a statement after the nuclear blast of the two countries, India and Pakistan, that if there will be any when these two countries, India and Pakistan, if ever they come closer to the brink of war, the permanent members would make an intervention. So that was the joint statement made by P5, and I think the United Nations Security Council P5 members should be reminded of this, and based on that the session could be summoned, number one. And second thing is about the United Nations Security Council P5 members. There is another provision under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter, that if there is any situation which might lead to jeopardize the global peace, United Nations Security Council has the authority to summon the session and make intervention for de-escalation and maintain global peace. So I think that under these provisions, United Nations Security Council must be invoked so that this de-escalation and global peace must be maintain. And the real problem that lies in the conflict, that is the issue of Kashmir, that must be settled once and for all. And this problem which arises from time to time between India and Pakistan, the root cause must be eliminated. Only then peace in South Asia and peace in India and Pakistan can be maintained.
Right. Now on the video link, we are honored to be joined by Air Commodore retired Khalid Chishti, senior analyst. Mr. Chishti, thank you very much for being with us on this special live transmission. We really appreciate that. The resolution of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. On the request of Pakistan, this particular move at the United Nations Security Council happened. There are multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions for resolving this particular dispute as per the aspirations of Kashmiris through a fair and impartial plebiscite, the right to self-determination. What is required at this particular point in time when we clearly see that India clearly seems to be losing when it comes to before the eyes of international community in terms of the diplomatic efforts?
Thank you, Mr. Jawad, and the management Pakistan Television for inviting me. Probably I will not get euphoric by listening to it. United States meeting has been summoned, and probably they're going to convene and probably maybe admonish India. The world is very global, and obviously they react according to their national interests. And obviously they also react according to the relevance of a particular country. It's a good move, obviously. We do not have any other option except to jolt the conscience of the international community and ask them to intervene, because the kind of warmongering attitude, the mindset that they have, the BJP government, especially in India, has, the kind of statements their ministers are giving, the provoking statement that they're giving, the channels what kind of not very responsible act, kind of behavior they're showing. We need to do everything possible what we can. It's a good move, obviously. At least it needs to, it will create some kind of awareness. Even if something meaningful or tangible does not come out of it, it will still have far-reaching effect from the ethical point of view or from the conscious point of view of the world community, where they will probably realize that here is a country which is never asking for any help to venture a war. They are asking help for a peace, basically. And they want to maintain that strict discipline of or decision of not being the first to strike, not to take the initiative, not to create an offensive posturing against any country. But they are a peace-loving people. And likewise, I keep saying on the channels that 1.4 billion population of Indian is obviously not all out for warmongering or offensive. They are also peace-loving people, most of them. It's a very few minority of the leadership, which is probably for the malified design or political objective. They want to go in for probably making the whole area, the region, hostage. That's what I have to.
Commodore Chishti, how big a setback do you think it could be for the Modi government when the opposition, of course, they had been slamming the Indian authorities for the security lapses and they should be held accountable. Now, the Indian Congress chief has also come up with this particular revelation that Indian Prime Minister Modi had the intelligence about this particular, the possibility of such an attack in Pahalgam 3 days before. Hence, he cancelled his trip to IIOJK as well, putting the lives of the tourists at risk, and did nothing to avert this particular incident. Do you think at home, in terms of the domestic optics, do you think it could be a huge setback for the popularity of Narendra Modi at home?
That's a good question. I must add here, probably it should not be. Probably the opposition is playing smart and intelligent and logical. It has already started to shift the waves against Modi, because what we see here is that now people have come up with logic. Pakistan diplomacy has worked out, neutral friends have come in, and even the staunch friends of India who were blindly supporting India in the past have not gone in blindly this time, at least. They're trying to salvage the situation. They're asking both countries to remain cool and work for the peace. That's a positive, that's a sign that if some country in the past, especially out of the superpowers of the big countries, they were sometimes blindly condemning Pakistan or taking sides, very visibly taking sides. But this time it has not happened, alhamdulillah. And that's probably one of the frustration of the Indian government, that probably they thought that most of the world is going to support us because the Pakistan is not economically stable, politically not very stable, and probably this is the right situation when the things are all the countries are finding relevance in the eyes of USA, and this is the time to highlight India as the global or regional leader and probably the only country who can challenge China. So it wanted to stand out as one of the contenders to be a kind of a world player here or a world policing here. But that has not come out to be true, and that's why probably they're feeling frustrated, not inside, but from outside also.
Mr. Wasi, Dr. Wasi, when we talk about it, there are a number of solutions that you already proposed. The session of the United Nations Security Council, when and also when the invocation of Chapter 7, the mandate of the United Nations Security Council. But before heading into what could be the modalities of that, when it comes to the threat to the regional stability and the Chapter 7 comes into play, this particular intelligence report being present at the hand of Prime Minister Modi, and yet he didn't work upon it to avert any sort of incident, rather cancelled his own visit to IIOJ. What does that mean?
Yes, while coming to this program, I was listening to a TV interview by former Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Satyapal Malik. He was giving an interview to the Wire, to the editor of War, and in which he very clearly said that it is a major lapse on the part of the government, and he said the Prime Minister even earlier should have apologized from the whole nation that because of this security lapse, this horrific incident took place. And earlier you have mentioned that the opposition leader and some other leading political parties, they are also demanding the same, that why did it happen? This was the place which they were projecting across the world as the Switzerland, and this was important because of tourism. This was important because of Amarnath, because Amarnath Shrine is just near to Pahalgam. So keeping this all these things in view, the sensitivity of the place, there was not a single security person over there, and the Home Minister also in the meeting acknowledged it, that this is the lapse on the part of the security. So I think that instead of looking inward and instead of fixing the problem which lies within India, Prime Minister Modi tries to level allegation against the neighboring country just to assuage the Indian audience. And this is not the only incident when intelligence was provided to intelligence labs was there. Even in the attack, parliament attack that took place in 2001, intelligence was available to them, but they didn't take any action. And I'm not saying many leading critics, and there is a book written by Arundhati Rai on 13 December 2001. He raised 13 important questions, and there was one question that when intelligence was already provided to them, why didn't they take the protective measure to prevent it? Then there was another incident, Mumbai 2008, 2611 they would call, and again in that incident, this attack, the intelligence information was shared, and this information was also, this issue was taken up by S.M. Mushrif, who was a police officer, and Harmanit Karkare, who was investigating the involvement of the Hindutva forces in different attacks, including Maligaon of 2006, including Samjhota of 2006, including Makkah Masjid of 2007. So in all these terrorist incidents, Hindutva forces were involved, and this police officer, he was investigating, and in 26/11, 2008 Mumbai attack, he got killed. And he raised question that why did it happen? Okay, and then the third one was that the Pathankot incident in 2016. There was an intelligence provided to them, and the last one was the Pulwama that has been frequently discussed and cited in different media outlets. And Satyapal Malik, whom I referred, he also mentioned that because of this negligence, and he shared with Home Minister and Prime Minister at that time, and Prime Minister and Home Minister both, they asked him keep quiet and no need to share it publicly into the media.
Isn't it horrible?
Exactly, exactly. So
what else the world needs to see other than this? To believe.
I think I think that the world has realized to some extent, as Air Commodore Sir was just saying,
So
that this statement.
I've often heard the panelists, the experts saying that finally the world has realized there is by and large an understanding among the major players as well. So there hasn't been a clear-cut statement out against India, and there has been, of course, a diplomatic victory as far as Pakistan is concerned. We acknowledge this particular fact. The diplomatic efforts have really worked out as far as Pakistan side is concerned. But as far as responsibility of the major players is concerned, do you think realization and understanding is sufficient only, or there must be something beyond that in concrete terms?
Exactly. You know, I think that now the time has come that the powerful world capitals, they should realize, and they should go beyond this realization and understanding, and they should take the concrete measure, because after almost 75, more than 75 years, there are 3 wars have been fought between the two countries, low intensity conflict, standoff between India and Pakistan. So it means that there is a genuine problem. Until and unless that problem is resolved, so these both nuclear powers, they will always remain at the brink of war. So I think that the time has come that the powerful capitals, the P5 members, they should make meaningful intervention. As I mentioned, under Chapter 7, they can impose sanctions on India, and they should take some concrete measures so that they can stop India from such kind of warmongering and such kind of things which may lead to any catastrophic incident in South Asia.
Right. Commodore Chishti, what's your understanding when you talk about ample evidence against India's state sponsorship of terrorism, its terror financing? We've also seen that very detailed presser by the DGI SPR, in which he gave a very detailed evidence of how Indian, even serving army officers, finance the terrorists on different soils. We've also seen largely the panelists, there is an understanding, there is a diplomatic victory as far as Pakistan's efforts are concerned. There hasn't been any clear-cut statement in support of India as yet, and there is a realization and understanding among the major players. So do you think there should be some manifestation beyond this realization and understanding, with given a long list of evidence of India's state sponsorship of terrorism, not this time around in Pakistan only, but also in Canada, in the United States of America as well? Don't you think the FATF should be coming into action? Don't you think the UNSC should be invoking that Chapter 7, which Dr. WASI has alluded to as well?
That's a very good question, but I must add here that it's a long wish and prayer list, not only of Pakistanis, but the globally mistreated and underprivileged and suppressed people all over the world. It's not only we that we are crying and we are making noise and trying to draw the attention towards the injustice behavior of a huge country which enjoys a very good position in the region. Obviously, we're not the only ones. But unfortunate part is, I must add here, Mr. Jawad, that the word selectively looks at the logic. Why am I carefully using selectively means you've seen around the world, see today, are they all going for logic? They're not. They selectively choose where to apply logic and where to look the other side from the logic. So this world sees the relevance of the country that they want to deal with. Now, unfortunately, India, from our perspective, I'm saying unfortunate, that's a huge country. It's more relevant economically, socially, international forums, many members of many communities. So the world looks at it. If we support the logic, is there a price that we will pay? And obviously the answer is most of the time, yes, they will pay. And they look the other side and say, okay, you both fine, please don't do that and do not escalate and things like that. They do not, right, you absolutely rightly pointed out that they do not look at the logic or the facts of the analysis. They look at the interconnectivity of both the countries that obviously we expect. So all international players, they do not go for the proofs. They do not go for the massacres that obviously being done by their own government and obviously showing it up on television. These places were not open till May for the tourism. And this time they were open 2 months before. There was a villager or a citizen of Kashmir which was saying that if I have to come from Srinagar to Belgaum, I have to face 10 checkposts. 10 checkposts, they check me, the military checkposts, they check me thoroughly and then let me reach Pahalgam. How is it possible that it was opened well before time, actually announced time? How is it possible that those killers, whosoever they were, they managed to reach without any checking or any security clearance or something like that? How is it that the FIR was obviously written down or noted down within 10 minutes? And how is it the defense forces, the sources of defense forces, after 10 minutes, they say there were four killers of the terrorists, two were Pakistanis and two were Kashmiris. I mean, I salute those agencies who are so brilliant that they come out with the answer who was the culprit 10 minutes later that after the accident had happened and not 10 minutes before. So we see many things lined up. Pakistan government, the ISPR, the armed forces of Pakistan have given ample proof of the fact that the dots do not connect towards us. The dots connect inwards to their internal designs or lapses, whatever. But how many countries would openly come out and say, yes, there is the truth, here we are. But they will always say, okay, we should not fight. It's not the logic that is prevailing. It's the big size of India, the more relevance of India, probably that is prevailing. And unfortunately, that has been the case so many years. You can see, look at the Middle East, look at the other crises that we have in around the world. The world selectively looks at, and United Nations also is obviously a kind of not able to come out openly and condemn the aggrieved or favor the aggrieved party. That's most unfortunate.
Right. We are honored to be joined by another participant, Mr. Irfan Ghori, senior journalist. Mr. Ghori, thank you very much for being with us at this special live transmission. Let's go a little back in time, a couple of days before we saw a very detailed presser by DGISPR regarding as to there is a long list of evidence as how India is perpetrating state sponsorship of terrorism. We've also seen a revelation made by Indian Congress chief that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had intelligence 3 days prior to Pahalgam incident. The kind of sequence of events that happened post Pahalgam, they were themselves quite an answer as to the false narrative that was being created against Pakistan, trying to bring Pakistan into this particular whole equation by hook or crook. And when we talk about that very role at that particular point in time played by Indian media, now this particular revelation of Indian Congress chief talks about the intelligence already present and Prime Minister Modi not working on it, not doing anything to avert it, rather leaving the tourists at the risk of the attackers. How do you think Indian media could so quickly reach to that conclusion of pinpointing fingers at Pakistan? What sort of phenomenon in journalistic language would you call that?
Thank you very much for taking me on this show. As you know, right from the beginning, the incident happens, and within minutes, the Indian media was the first to point out fingers towards Pakistan. And we all know that when it comes to journalism, when it comes to media, you have to be responsible. And the first thing that you need is to verify the facts before you air them, before you write to them and make them public. But in this case, what we have seen was that not only this case, but even in the past as well, the Indian media, they jump to the conclusion themselves and then they start blaming on Pakistan. This time we have seen that, we were, in Pakistan, most people believed, and this was the stance of the Pakistani government as well, that it's something that has been an inside job of the deep Indian state. But now we are seeing that even within India, the voices, some voices, they are coming. The people are questioning. The people are also questioning the security failure. If we suppose, the incident that is happening, hundreds of miles away from LOC, how this has happened, and also it exposed the Just few days before this incident happened, the Indian Home Minister, he visits Jammu and Kashmir, I mean the illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And over there, they say that everything is normal and all that. But uh, this also showed that in Kashmir, everything was not normal. And this has very, it's a very clear message to the Indians as well that whatever the BJP government that has been, propagating to their public, this is not the case. When it comes to, the Indian involvement here, we have provided initially, if you can recall, in 2010, our then Prime Minister, we presented them a dossier, and then we went to UN, and then there were, incidents like Kulbhushan Yadav that was arrested in Pakistan. So we have been providing them the concrete evidences. But in India's case, what we have seen is that they put blame on us, and then when we ask them for evidence, they are always reluctant either to initiate any investigation, or if they initiate, they are not, they don't cooperate in carrying it out transparently. So this is the same pattern that we have seen over the last 10-15 years, and same is going on right now.
Right, Mr. Ghori, there was also the presentation of evidence when there was Indian state sponsorship of terrorism being perpetrated on Pakistani soil. There were such certain social media handles which are associated with Indian intelligence agency RAW, and they had a pattern of predicting those incidents before happening. And then after that incident happens, they glorify that particular incident. What is this phenomenon? The media outlets knowing prior to that particular incident happening, publishing a very some sort of a headline regarding that particular incident that is about to happen, and then once it happens, they glorify that state sponsorship of terrorism. What is this pattern, and how would you look this particular phenomenon as a journalist?
Not only as a journalist, but as a human being, we have to think that anywhere, if the innocent lives are lost, we should not be glorifying them. And this is something, it is a universal thing. And we have seen that, a month back when we had an incident where the terrorists, they attacked a train, and like you were referring to the incident where, even the incident takes place, and even before that they had this information. So this shows that it's not only their government, but also most of their media outlets. They are, seems, they are in connivance with their deep state and with the BJP that has been, giving these sort of, the information. Of course, you have to, when you are as a journalist, you have to ask the questions, but that we don't see those questions from their mainstream, mainly the media houses which are popular over there.
Hence it is called Godi Media. Mr. Irfan Ghori, senior journalist, thank you very much for being with us at this special live transmission. Really appreciate that. For now, we'll have to go for a quick short break. After this particular break, we'll be resuming the discussion from here. Stay tuned. Welcome back to this special live transmission. Commodore Chishti, very quickly, unfortunately, we're short of time and we'll have to go for a breaking news that is coming in. So I just want your answer regarding as to Pakistan National Security Committee in categorical terms saying that anything India would be doing with the waters belonging to Pakistan would be considered as an act of war. Now it has started stopping the water on River Chenab. How should Pakistan be responding to it? Your quicker comment regarding it.
It's simple. Till the time it's creating a life-threatening situation, we must highlight to the world, because the world can very conveniently understand what the water choking or water blocking or diversion would mean. That's everybody's problem. It will affect our crops, it will affect our economy, and obviously the future generations obviously to come. So any country which does that, it is absolutely justified to be declared as an act of war. And I think we've done the right thing. Our government, the armed forces are ready to confront. I can talk about Pakistan Air Force, obviously ready to take on any government decision to thwart off any threat to our water incoming. That's so unfortunate. That is what I'd like to add. We must capitalize on the human feelings, because it is unethical, unnatural, and obviously illegal to block the water for any country.
Commodore Chishti, I get your point. Dr. Wasi, there are media reports that suggest that Indian airlines have started getting that impact because of Pakistan's ban to Indian-owned and Indian-operated airlines through Pakistan's airspace. Is Modi government also feeling the heat?
Yes, exactly. Modi government is feeling the heat, and because of that, the jingoism which we saw in the early days when he went to Bihar, and there he started his warmongering. So that has died down since then. That we see, though the statements are being made, but because of the muscular response on the part of Pakistan and international successful diplomacy, I think that chest thumbing and that aggressive and jingoistic rhetoric that has been died down.
If this particular ban continues, so how bigger an impact it would have on Indian airlines?
So there will be a lot of, because the number of flights which use that airspace, they are as compared to the Pakistan space. So that is only one, that is in Malaysia, that uses that space. But there are several countries which use that space.
Were there 1,200 or 12,000 flights which were to operate in month of April towards Europe, North America and Middle East?
Yes, exactly. And all those, once they will be hampered, so there will be a serious implications towards India.
Dr. Awais bin Wasi, Indian Affairs expert, thank you very much for being with us during this special live transmission. On the video link, we were joined by Mr. Air Commodore retired KHALID CHISHTI. Commodore CHISHTI, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on this special live transmission. We really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of this particular segment of this special live transmission. This will continue after the news bulletin at 9. For that, stay tuned.